Yes, guys, welcome back to the weekly roundup. We're on week 14, and it's myself and Crypto Insight UK here, giving
That's,
you the latest news. And we've got some good news for you guys today,
it's a
especially UXRP holders. It's
good
finally
week.
seems to be happening. We spoke about it pretty much every week, and it seems to be actually getting somewhere with the emails. But we'll leave that for later. But yeah, how are
Bit,
you, Crypto Insight?
bit of a tease there. Naughty, naughty.
Nothing, nothing.
Good, bro. I'm good.
Yeah,
As you said, actually, a really positive week here for us as XRP holders and the development in the Ripple case, which you probably have heard about by now. But if not, we are going to dive into that.
yeah, yeah.
And quite a lot of news in general this week. Obviously, you can see the headline there that the CPI reading came out yesterday morning.
Yesterday,
But yeah, good week, good week. A lot to go through. As you can probably tell, I've got a new camera, and
looking crisp,
trying
looking
to.
fresh.
Well, right now I'm on this obviously this webcam from my computer, but like
Oh,
for my videos, my camera's there and my editing skills are subpar.
yeah, we've all got to start somewhere. I'll be absolutely useless as well with that for sure. But yeah, the CPI came back 9.1 percentiles, not very good. It was forecasted at 8.8, I think the final forecast was, so it was actually a bit higher than they thought.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not good, but
I think Al Sampo wraps it up pretty well there, doesn't he? Crap, that's high.
crap that time, man. Yeah, he's not wrong though, is he? Let's be honest.
He's
That's high. I didn't think it was going to be that high if I was honest with you, but I'm going to go out and put it out there that I actually think, and I'll explain why later when because we're going to refer to our newsletter as well because we've got that open, and
Chew.
obviously we've got the oil charts. I know we'll give a charts open, but I'll go into it later in terms of why I think this potentially could be the top, or we're not really going to get any more nasty surprises. Now I could be horribly wrong, but I don't know. I think I could be right on this one, but 9.1 is not good regardless. I didn't think it was going to be that high. The markets, they kind of did instantly react to it, but I feel like we've got to the point where everything's almost priced in at the moment because there's just so much fear in the market in general anyway. So, like, what else can they throw at us that's going to really push the price down apart from just natural price action? So,
Yeah.
I think we would have started the day. I think it was like 3% up at one point. CPI reads came in. We went to 3% negative, but then we actually did end the day on a green. I think potentially. So it swung back the other way. So it's quite a volatile day in the market. Anyway,
Yeah, like I'm glad that you said that actually about potentially seeing the high there in the CPI print because I'm actually trying to edit a video about that at the minute.
we'll see that next week then.
About 15 hours into the editing, about 20 seconds of content there. But yeah, we did see there was a bit of a trend line that was holding a support line for Bitcoin yesterday that did get violated when we saw the news of the CPI break. A lot of people put short positions on there, and then it looks like they got short squeezed because it came back up to above the support line. But I'm not really sure what's happened today. I haven't really been on the charts too much today. I've been, as I said,
Yeah,
editing that video, so I haven't kept up with it. But yeah, it was strange to see that because I thought, well, maybe people have priced in, and maybe people. Actually, I just want to say. It's a bit of a stutter there. But
go
Joe
on.
Biden came out straight away after and said that he thought that the CPI readings was like lagging data. He made an official statement straight
Yeah,
after saying that he thinks the CPI data is outdated. Obviously, it is for June, and we are halfway through July now. And those 2 weeks are like massive in terms of
yeah.
like what's changed.
See, that's a good point you raised there as well because I was actually going to speak about that again. We'll go into it when we get do the TA stuff at the end. But I was going to use oil's price chart as a perfect example because it literally explains. It will show you exactly how the CPI works and how much it lags almost. It literally is 3 weeks. So
Mm.
and it's literally clearly shown at the moment. So we will go into
Yeah,
that.
and
But
three
yeah,
weeks is like very important at the minute when we've got such a
that's what I mean.
like balance between depreciation in equity markets and trying to tame inflation. Like the Fed are in a very difficult position still, and it's crunch time now. Now we've said they had a bit of a buffer, but now that literally every day almost and every week matters in terms of their decision making as to which way the market's going to go. We're at key support levels as we talked about. If they push it too far now, we will see a break in the market or we'll see a break somewhere. Everything's like sort of all over the place now. I don't know if we're going to talk about treasury bonds and stuff towards the end, but they're
Yeah,
reversing, equities coming down, cryptos
yeah,
all over the place. Obviously, inflation is still on the rise, so says CPI, and you're seeing commodities coming down. It's
it's
madness right
crazy.
now. Yeah.
It is a crazy time, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, the 10 years, I think they're approaching like a big resistance, big like moving averages as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess next week slash the end of this week will tell us a lot in terms of where that's going as well. But the charts will be covered towards the end because there's a lot of charts to talk about. Like you said, it's absolutely nuts at the
Yeah,
moment.
and one more thing to throw into that is
Go on then.
obviously that we've touched on a few times, like over the last few weeks, are economies like getting really like shafted as well, like
Yeah,
especially smaller countries. I think Venezuela are, like now at 175% inflation or something like that.
yeah, it's crazy. I've seen some mad percentages on Twitter about people just tweeting like inflation rates more relative to the dollar as well, and how much they're getting it. But
So the
it's crazy times.
wider economy is just all over the place.
It's actually nuts. The craziest time, honestly, is at the moment in terms of economy. Everything's kicking off at the moment. Another thing that's kicking off is Celsius Networks have also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Like last, obviously, this is no secret to anyone. Everyone knew that they were having liquidity problems, as are a lot of other crypto blockchain companies. But yeah, it's another one. Last week, we even said, I think, obviously, we reported one last week, and we literally said, I'm sure next week there's going to be another one, and this week comes and there's another one. So it's just like, again, it's almost beating an old drum now, really. So everyone kind of expects news like this to kind of come out, but it didn't really affect the market in terms of like Bitcoin's price. Obviously, their native token kind of took like a 50% hit, I think it was,
Yeah,
almost instantly. But
I, I
it's
found
not it's
I
not
found this a
surprising.
weird one, to be honest, mate. Like, with Celsius, obviously we had this news like weeks ago. Not obviously not the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy filing came out yesterday, but
Yeah,
like with
they
Celsius's
had their own
problems,
problems.
they had their pausing of like people's accounts weeks ago. But then the thing that I found quite strange about this is that in the last like week or so, they've paid off all their debt, all their collateral for
Hmm.
all their debt to different like DeFi platforms and more centralized platforms as well, or at least in their Bitcoin like leverage positions. So I found it strange that they paid off that debt and then they've come out and filed for bankruptcy. So maybe there's like, well, there obviously is more than meets the eye here. Where are they over leveraged in other places that people can't see? I think they may have paid off the debt that people can actively see, like where the debt is. But as to why if you paid off all your debts would you file for bankruptcy? I don't know. So let's see
Strange
what
one.
comes out of this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I guess it will come out in the future, but just thought we'd bring it up anyway. But more ETF stuff for you guys. I know you guys love the ETF story, so obviously just because it links to the SEC, and we love to talk about the SEC here. But Bitwise
We hate this.
considers suing SEC for Bitcoin ETF rejection. Obviously, their ETF, obviously, like it says, there got rejected, and they are considering, it says. So I don't know. They've obviously not filed for a lawsuit yet, but it wouldn't surprise me
Hmm.
if they do. Yet again, SEC kind of snubbing another ETF for whatever reasons. We still, obviously, like we said in other weeks, not too sure why, because the next post kind of relates to this here, and they've basically postponed their decision on ARK Invest Bitcoin ETF until late August, it says here. Now, like I said to you off camera just before this, the reason I think that they're doing this is potentially that they might even be accepting this because ARK Invest are quite obviously a large company, so they don't want another lawsuit on their case, do they? They've got a lot going on at the moment, so I think potentially they might be bringing out some sort of framework. This is an absolute guess. This could be absolutely wrong, but they could be bringing out some sort of like framework within the next month in order to accept this. That's just a scenario that could potentially happen, or SEC or just being the SEC and they're just annoying everyone by postponing stuff again.
Yeah, like
Who
I,
knows?
I honestly hadn't even seen this article until you brought it up today before we spoke about it before we came on camera. Um, I didn't realize Bitwise were also going to follow or was considering following Grayscale's footsteps to sue the SEC. It's a strange one that they have postponed the decision on the ETF for ARK. This obviously isn't long after the Grayscale decision. Grayscale and ARK are two huge like investors in like innovation and technology, obviously. So it'd be a bit weird for them to like accept ARCs and have declined
Yeah,
grayscales.
yeah,
I don't really get it. As more gets uncovered at the SEC, things point towards that not everything adds up. But I don't want to be like pointing fingers about corruption or anything like that. But
mm,
I mean, it probably would add to that narrative if you're like working at Grayscale or whatever, and then they approve ARCs like ETF, and there's all this narrative as well. Like, I feel like everything the SEC do now, they've kind of backed themselves into a corner. They're going to be scrutinised. They're in a very sticky position, but it's all their own fault. Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
it it
they've
it
got
might be the fact that the SEC may get like dissolved or something like this. Like,
yeah, just like they might just not be in charge of anything anymore, and
yeah.
like they'll kind of restructure the whole kind of thing because even this year alone, like the amount of like dirt they've put on their name
Mm,
just from the way they've gone about things is their own fault. It's their own doing, and like it's in the public eye. So, like we said on previous weeks, surely someone higher up is looking at the SEC thinking, what are they actually doing there?
mm.
Because not only are they kind of hindering the US's progression within blockchain technology, but they're just not really conducting themselves in like a professional manner, if that makes sense. Like they're not really going about stuff the way that someone like the SEC should be. They just
Yeah, exactly. That you're a regulator and you're not creating any regulation. You just sort of like, as we always say, like regulating by enforcement. But it like if you're trying to regulate something, you need to have some clear guidelines for people to abide by. They're not creating
mm,
any guidelines for anybody. They're just trying to. They're almost acting as like a law company who just want to put suits on people and make a profit. And
yeah,
that's not how regulators should run things, especially if you want innovation, like you said in your country. Why would you want to innovate in the US? You don't even know what the rules are, and if you do something wrong when you don't even know what the rules are, you get a lawsuit slapped on you. It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
It's just crazy. Like it's obviously I'm reading this very special book at the moment,
Great
and
book.
like within this book, he kind of speaks about like when a country kind of are on the rise, which the US are obviously they're the reserve currency at the moment. There's as it starts going to decline, obviously there's various things that he talks about, but one thing he starts talking about is like internal unrest, basically, in terms of like in more specifically, so the political side of it.
Hmm.
So when you relate it to the SEC, you've got this big governing body here which aren't reacting. There's a lot of potential corruption, whatever. They're not going about stuff the right way. They're kind of hindering the country's progression. It kind of falls in line with what Ray Dalio is kind of saying there as well. So it's a bit of a mess over
Changing
there.
world order, bro. That's why.
Exactly, it is literally is. It's playing out exactly so how he's written that book. It's crazy. It's a good book. Definitely read it, guys. If you guys are looking to look for a book to read, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm gonna have to get that
But
off
it's a
you.
mess.
Take that
The
off your
SEC
hands
are a
after you
mess.
finished.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, it's good. I'm not even much of a reader, but that book is keeps me going back.
Yeah. Speaking of the SEC,
Speaking about the Devils, we've
boom.
got this big news here. Big news. Obviously, we've been waiting for this for God knows how long now.
This is the big one, guys. This is the big one. It's the
This
big one.
is huge for the case. It's massive for the
Huge.
case. Like we've been saying, once we get our hands on his emails, or once we even get this decision, which we finally got,
Hmm.
are they now behind closed doors talking about settlement? Who knows? Potentially. Obviously, Brad has come out at some point. I'm pretty sure he did say he's like they're not going to settle until Ripple such as XRP gets clarity, but there's got to be something's got to be going on because they've got 14 days, right? As of this, when this decision was made, which was on July 12th, they've got 14 days now
The
to.
SEC have got 14 days, yeah.
So the SEC have got 14 days to basically appeal this decision from the judge. So within that 14 days, they're either going to appeal or they're going to start getting their legwork on a settlement, in my eyes.
Hmm.
Because normally in the past, they seem to appeal decisions fairly quickly. But we've not heard anything yet. Obviously, there's still a few days left in the time frame, but
Sure.
with time window that they've got. But let's see what happens with this now. We finally got the decision.
Hmm.
Documents must be produced. Like the judge says, I'm excited to see these. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to see these.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on from that. Like, just going back to what we were saying about the SEC specifically before that and saying that, like, they're supposed to be a regulator. Within this document, the Judge Netburn wrote, she said that there's, like, basically the SEC are being hypocritical and that they aren't practicing law basically oath, like they swear an oath, like as a lawyer, to be like honest and abide by law, but then that they are using their position as lawyers to better themselves rather than to actually prove the law. So they're basically saying that they're being hypocritical just to try and make their position work rather than to say what's true. That's basically, and it's not like it goes against the ethics of a lawyer. Basically, is what she's saying. And then in regards to the potential appeal and the potential settlement, maybe is that word allowed to be thrown around here? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I think we could potentially start throwing that around now.
And we were talking about, you said that Ripple didn't want to settle unless XRP was specifically a non-security. But I presume, and we know that in the past they have legally had to meet with the SEC to discuss settlements. And what I presume would have happened in those discussions is Ripple may have gone with like their ideal settlement scenario and handed it to the SEC saying, look, if you want to settle with us, we want this, 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 and this. And the SEC probably done the same. And they're probably like outreaching. Like for Ripple, it's probably like, we want to pay like 0.01% of the fine. XRP is not a security. You can't come after us again. This is like buried, blah, blah, blah. There's clarity for the crypto market, this, and this. And the SEC probably have that settlement document still. So I presume, I don't know how law works, but I presume if they've had this meeting, that settlement document will be, or something very similar, will be able to be referred to. They might just be able to come out now and say, look, all right, it's really not going our way. We'll take your settlement deal if that still goes, and then Ripple could say, boom, yeah. And there's been a lot of talk about that there could be an abrupt end to this case, and that's how I think you could see something like that arise. If the SEC go, oh crap, like we don't want this dirt being dug on us. The judges literally made this watertight. We can't really appeal. Bang, settlement. I think that's the best case scenario for us as XRP holders, but with the SEC being so slippery, I'm sure they'll have something else that they will want to try and extend or whatever. But at some point, and I know that it's hard for us to say this because we're also get frustrated with the case, but at some point they will run out of things to say and they will have to take a settlement like that, I would have thought.
Exactly. I guess time will tell, but we're finally getting there with this, and I'm guessing within the next couple of weeks, we'll know what direction that this specific topic is going to go in terms of, are we going to get the hands on document or are they going to appeal or no? But I'm pretty sure, I think it was John Deaton tweeted and he said, even if they do, if they do appeal and Ripple appeal that appeal, basically, there's like a time frame of like 30 days that the judge will kind of make a decision on it. So
yeah,
even if they do choose to go down that route, I think a decision will be made within August at some point. So
yeah, so we've got to see an appeal from the SEC within 14 days, but being the SEC, we'll probably see it on the 14th day at 12 o'clock at night, like if they are going to do it. But yeah, as you're saying, that Ripple then can reply to the appeal, and then it goes to Judge Torres, I think. But then apparently they can appeal that to potentially go as a writ of mandamus to the Second Circuit or something, but there's not like a very high chance of that at all if Torres like agrees with Netburn, which I presume she will, because someone made a great point. I can't remember who I was listening to said it. Maybe Jeremy Hogan. I made a great point that there are thousands and thousands of eyes watching this case, so both judges, Netburn and Torres, have to be pretty in sync before they make decisions, because they don't want to make each other look stupid, because a lot of eyes are on them and it's their professional career. Obviously, they're practicing law to the letter of the law, but also they need to make sure that they are like on the same side because they're both like obviously ruling the same way essentially.
Yeah, spot on.
So there's a lot going on. It's been a great week. This is like the best piece of information we've essentially had. And one thing to throw on top of this, which almost gives it like a multiplier effect in terms of like how, in terms of pressure on the SEC, is that because this was like looked in discovery, this is like a discovery item. If it does get handed over, it will be public. Like we'll get to see it. We'll get to see all the emails that Hinman sent. So the SEC, if there's something big in there, the SEC do not want this coming out. They'll be ripped apart. What are they in the library case as well? Any other lawsuit that they're in, all the crypto companies will be like, yeah, cheers, lads, we're in.
Yeah, they'll just use that to finish their lawsuit as well. So, I mean, look, we're at a point now where I know we could have said this last week, but this time here, we're close to the end that we've ever been in this case in terms of like probability wise of a settlement, etc. So
It's crunch time.
it's interesting. Let's just see how it unfolds. I'm sure they'll have something to say, but
Honest,
I'm sure we'll have something to report on it next week. But
on a real one, though, you think it's so weird that like this is coming out now while the markets are like all in like supports and like in crunch time, and Flare Networks launched yesterday. Like there's so much stuff that's like all of a sudden like coming to a climax, and anything could literally happen.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, as everything seems to be happening at the exact same time,
I actually get gassed.
this comes in at perfect timing, in line with that as well, because we've got Michael Barr here, who's a former U.S. Department of Treasury official. Well, basically, he was a former U.S. Department of Treasury official. He joined Ripple's advisory board, and now, as you can see here, he's to become a member of the board of governors of the Federal Reserve System. So I think he's obviously gone.
His official title is like vice chairman of supervision for the Federal Reserve, and when he was in the Treasury was when like with Obama. Then he worked at Ripple, and then now he's back.
Yeah. And then obviously Will just kind of pointed this quote out on here as well. The Fed chief Jeremy Powell has said Barr's role he's in charge with setting regulatory agenda. So he's going to play a big role within crypto. He's been associated with Ripple. Again, this is another one of our like kind of jigsaw. We're trying to piece things together for you guys, but it's funny how everything's starting to align and everything seems to happen at the same time, and then something like this comes out as well, which kind of makes you. It's hard not to speculate. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say, because it's pretty big. Whether it means anything or not, that's for you guys to decide. But from where I'm sitting, it's looking a bit suspicious to me.
And it's super hard to be an XRP holder because you get thrown under the bus all the time as like as a massive speculator. But there's just so many coincidences. I don't see how you can rule it out, because how can. And I know that they all work in different financial industries, but a lot of people from the Federal Reserve go to Ripple, or Ripple to the Federal Reserve, and all these sorts of things. I know that obviously there's innovative tech there, so they both want to see like each side of it. But he's going to go there with his experience that he's had at Ripple, and he also said something in one of his. He published a document about Bitcoin, basically saying that. And I don't want to like crap on Bitcoin because I actually do like Bitcoin, but basically saying that in the long run, like it's basically set up to fail, and people need to look towards more innovative like tech for payment purposes. And then obviously he's worked at Ripple, and then now he's going to Federal Reserve. Like he's going to implement his experiences. That's why they're bringing him in as a vice chair for supervision. They're literally saying we want your help with regulatory framework. So. I don't know, man. Like I don't even like to be the conspiracy guy, because I feel like I'm crazy, but then like more and more stuff comes out, and it's like either adding to my craziness or something's just happening, and it's just strange how you don't get like. I mean, I was gonna say you don't get actual confirmations, but I guess that's a confirmation. Like I don't know.
It is, regardless. It's just really weird to me how everything seems to happen like this. But like you said, we're just speculating here. It's nothing too much. If you think we're for trying to make up a case, that's your decision. But for me, it's just a bit, I don't know, it's a bit too coincidental for me.
It's happening.
It could potentially happen.
Something's happening.
Something's happening.
Something's definitely happening.
We don't know yet, or do we? But yeah. We'll end everything on the charts. There's a lot to talk about, and whilst we're talking about the charts, we'll give a quick plug to our
newsletter.
So, obviously, we spoke about this last week as well. We've wrote a newsletter together, and obviously covering just basic things like here. Look, can we speak about US inflation, the monetary policy? We've got on-chain data. We've got a lot of stuff here. How does this affect cryptocurrency? We broke everything down, talk about risk and reward. Then we also go in and speak about charts. I've picked a couple of charts here that we've gone into a bit more in depth, and kind of what I've done here. We've basically laid the CPI data. Let me zoom in for you guys, because this is the point I was trying to make at the start of the video here. So within the chart section, which we're showing you guys here now. So if you do want a copy of this, we'll tweet about it. We just need your email, and it gets sent to your inbox.
I just want to say one more thing about that is I've sent out all the newsletters for everybody, so you should have them in your inbox now. And I think what I'm going to do going forwards is I'm going to speak to Pav about this offline, but maybe do some sort of, we're doing a subscription service, and maybe through some sort of Patreon or something like that. And I'm going to make this sample copy available for download for anybody who wants to go on the site and download the copy. So, sorry, just let you go
no, that's cool. So yeah, this is obviously our first week. So we've kind of gone into the first week with a bit of a broad kind of scope into it. So, and then obviously, because all the other subsequent weeks that we're going to write will be obviously relating to everything we speak about in week one as well. So that's why we want to make it week one available to everyone anyway. Mm-hmm. But the point I was trying to make at the start of the video anyway is how obviously Biden did say as well, like you said, how CPI is potentially a bit of a lagging indicator. If you look at this chart here, it kind of shows that perfectly, because so if you imagine here, obviously this was screenshotted literally last Tuesday now. So obviously if you add another weekly candle in there now, we'll have obviously the print of 9.1 down here. Even though price of oil has gone down, we've got a higher CPI read than the 8.6 we had back in June. But if you look here where the mouse is now, that is the oil price back in June, and obviously we've got the 9.1 CPI read. But the point I'm trying to make is that this data gave us this 9.1 read, which will be down here. So that's just a point there. And I do speak about how this can be used as a lead indicator here as well. With this was all written last week, and obviously there's some TA in here as well. Like obviously it's not genius TA, but within here I did say it was getting squeezed between two MAs, and I've said it was going to come down to the 200. We look at the chart today, literally today and yesterday, it's bounced off the 200. Now the next move, who knows what's going to happen? This is a big move now for oil and for inflation narrative in general, because in the past when it has come to the 200 MA, it's kind of gone on rallies, it bounced off. Oh, we're going to see it go underneath. Who knows? I feel like that's something that we'll have to look into, and I'll report to in the next issue of the newsletter. So
yeah, I mean, and that's a great call there. Like if anyone's trading like oil futures or CFDs for oil, then if you nothing we say is financial advice, but if you'd taken that trade, you'd be obviously up massively. Like that's how much percentage move is that? Huge.
What was that? 113
13 down to about $95, $98. What did it go down to lowest?
Lowest it went down to is like that 16.6% roughly. So 16% we'll say on oil, which is quite a volatile.
If you say 15 to the 200, you've made a 15% short there. That's your newsletter paid for.
Yeah, literally exactly. So that's the information we're giving out. It's not just like that we said last week. Without not trying to plug it too much, but we spend like a lot of time obviously on this. So it's not just we're not just whacking down that random information. It's just actually like breaking it down for you, like making it clear, like putting the CPI reads here in line with the data charts, and then giving our synopsis of where we think it's going to go there. So.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I think
it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. But what else we got? I'll also open this here, because we've tweeted, gave you guys some updates here on the good old Twitter as well about the DXY, because the DXY's approached this tweet. I can't remember when we tweeted this. It's only a couple of days ago. But obviously, I've got this 109 price area of interest. I've called it on here. It's literally hit it on the head there, 109.44, and I guess we'll see what happens with it in terms of, because the dollar's obviously ripping. If we look at it against a euro as well, obviously today it was spent a good amount of time sub underneath like €1 to a dollar. So which obviously it's not done that in God knows how long. I think obviously.
I've been trading some forex recently, as you know, obviously, Pav, and I've been riding a short on the dollar against the euro, the other way around. Sorry, euro against the dollar.
It's pushing everything at the moment.
Yeah, I had some take profits and some closes at 1-to-1 parity for $1 to €1, but I still have half my position open now. I'm just going to see if we do get this drop below the €1 to a dollar, and see how far that drop may go. Like we need to wait for words from Jerome Powell, Joe Biden, things from the ECB, and that will give us an indication of how far the euro might drop. Essentially, that's what I'm looking for in terms of my trade to when to close out my short euro
Yeah,
against the dollar.
that's what I mean. Because I think maybe short term we could see a potential like pullback, like in this tweet I put out earlier, potential pullback to like 106, just because it's around the support right here, and then it would probably coincide with the 50 MA, sorry, which it seems to be bouncing off up and down, and then potentially to 113.14, and then if it goes over that, it's to the sky, to absolute 120. So we're just gonna have to keep an eye on it. Like I said, we'll keep you guys updated in the newsletter on our Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your eye on that. Obviously spoke about oil as well, because obviously now it's kind of recovered a little bit, but at one point today on the daily time frame it did dip below that 200, but like that's nothing really too important because it's been down there before, and it obviously led to this huge rally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something we keep an eye on, something we're keeping an eye on a day to day, and something you guys should have when you watch this, because like we've explained in the newsletter here, because obviously we spent some time saying why is this chart so important, what does it indicate, how does it relate to crypto and everything. Everything's in here, guys, so I'm not going to go into it too much. If you guys want to read it, grab yourself a copy.
Yeah, it's a massive part of the basket that is CPI, and right now CPI is massively important in our trades, like not just in crypto. If you're trading any kind of stock, currencies, anything like that, CPI in America plays a massive role. It affects the strength of the dollar inadvertently, and that affects everything. Like right now, all eyes are on, for me, oil, the DXY, and CPI in the US, basically.
10-year, just because obviously we said we were going to speak about it. 10-year treasury bonds here. Obviously, they're coming back to MA, like I said, the 50. So it's another thing to keep your eye on, guys, because all these things here are just really important for every market, in my opinion, anyway, everything that's going on, the economy in general as well. And obviously, there is a lot of other things as well we can go into, like you can talk about housing prices, all this, unemployment rates. You've got loads of other on-chain data as well.
Secondary
There's a lot.
markets.
It's just crazy at the moment. It's crazy at the moment in terms of like, it's hard to ingest all that information. But
another weird one that I've been looking at recently is gold. Like gold's just been coming down at this time when obviously dollar strength is ripping, but it's just weird with like inflation so high, and gold's like an inflation hedge, and it's just getting trashed. But
it's strange because it's obviously been trading in this massive channel for like a couple of years now, and we seem to have used it as support here, which would have been a really good entry point. Because I was looking at gold, but obviously just didn't want to invest in, because my investments are in crypto because I think there's more reward for me. But it's dipped back into this channel, and it's getting a bit worried now because it's coming to like critical support levels here, as you can see. So it's like you said at the start, every market seems to be in a stage now where it's like bit make or break almost. We're gonna find out very soon which way it's gonna go. Right. Everything's in a bit of a limbo at the moment.
Here's a bit of foreshadowing from me and a little bit of a hint, yeah?
Go on then.
Utility crypto is going to come through and save the day.
It's the perfect time for them to come through and fix the mess that's going on at the moment, because everything's crumbling. Everything is literally crumbling. I feel like if we relate it back to the changing world order book, it's time for that new system to come in and overtake like the dollar as the reserve currency, or just take over and completely fix this financial system, because where it is right now, like debt levels are at all-time high. Everything's just at that point where everything's just going to burst, and then a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. So in order to save that, in order to save all these people on potentially losing like their pensions, etc., we need something new.
They got to do something. They got to do something because
they need to do it fairly quick as well, because
now.
Whatever's coming, this big storm, a lot of people are calling for this big capitulation event. Whatever is coming, it's coming very soon. So they need to make a decision. I know it's hard, and it's easy for us to sit back here behind our computers and say they need to do something, but
absolutely, because like anything they do has adverse effects. Like if they continue to tighten, obviously all the issues that we've talked about, something's about to break. Like it's just increasing the pressure on the system, so it's about to break. But they start to loosen. Does inflation start to run riot again? They are still actually technically at 9.1% inflation, so CPI says. So it's like it's a flipping sticky situation, is what it is.
It's sticky, and it's the world is sticky at the moment. Like everything that's going on in China, Sri Lanka, there's all sorts going on at the moment. Like people protesting, trying to break into get into banks and stuff like that. Presidents fleeing the country. It's all kicking off at the moment, and it's just screaming for a brand new system to come in and just save everything basically. And I think there is that potential fix out there. It's not going to be an instant fix, no, by no means. Like, but whatever it is, it needs to start coming in now because a lot of people are going to get hurt otherwise.
Yeah, people are going to get financially wrecked. That's the problem. Because there's not really a safe haven. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, unless you follow the markets all day, every day, and you can just like move your money around, which not many people do.
That's hard.
And it's blooming hard. Yeah, you're going to get wrecked.
Literally,
straight
no
up.
other way to put it.
And like I know that sounds like it's easy for me to say, and I sit here like with a bit of a smile on my face saying it, but it's only because I think the whole situation is almost laughable. It's not because I feel like I'm in a good position, because I spend all my time doing this, and I'm doing averagely all right, especially with my like short-term trades. But long-term, my bags are like down, obviously, down overall for XRP. I've obviously accumulated hell a lot, but no one knows what's going to happen. Like I smile and laugh because it's like it's just insane. Like watching the charts and watching what's actually going on, it's just incredible. Really, I almost can't believe what I'm seeing.
I'm like a bit nervous, but almost like getting to the point now where I'm slightly starting to feel optimistic because I'm thinking there's no saving the dollar, there's no saving what's going on at the moment. It's too far gone, and like enough is enough in terms of like you can't blow this bubble up any further, in my opinion. And a lot of other people are saying that as well. So. Who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, we ain't got a crystal ball in front of us. We can't tell what's going to happen exactly. But
any decision the US make now, it ruins the dollar. Like if they like back off with their monetary tightening, inflation runs riot. If they continue to tighten, equities fall and the dollar gets too strong and it pushes other economies away from the dollar. So. In my eyes, the dollar's already done. I said this a few weeks ago. Like, made a video about it. Made 2 videos about it. The dollar's done. It's just how they let it deflate. Do they let it deflate or do they let it burst?
Exactly, because that's going to make a big difference to people.
And the way we invest our money specifically as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy.
And yeah, we'll leave you with that bombshell.
We'll leave you with that. Obviously, not really the most positive though, but we're keeping it real for you guys. Obviously, we need to let you guys know where our heads are at, and I'm sure a lot of people share the same opinion as, and I know a lot of big people on like social media share that same opinion as well. So it is what it is. We are where we are.
We are. But there has been positive news this week, so let's focus on that.
Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget about the big news.
That is awesome. We've been waiting for this nearly a year. I think they were supposed to turn the emails over in August.
Feels like 3-4 years.
They were supposed to originally turn them over in August. We've had the decision that they've got to turn them over. Obviously, they can appeal. So the time frame we're waiting on is 14 days for the SEC to put in an appeal if they are going to. And if not, we actually genuinely could see a settlement whenever. I know a lot of people get upset with that in the comments because it's always been the case, but now more than ever, we could see a settlement. If they do put in the appeal, we're looking at about a 30-ish day period to see a decision. So what does that take us to? End of this month would be the appeal, so that's looking at the start of August. And if they did appeal, probably by September, we're going to see some sort of decision, aren't we? On this. Mad.
Finally getting there. Finally. Mad. But yeah. We'll leave you guys with that.
It was a long episode, I think.
It was a long episode, so sorry if we did bore you. But there's been a lot of information. I feel like that's been a lot of good information for you guys this week anyway. So, and we'll be back at you next week for sure. So enjoy your week, and we'll see you on week 15. Peace up.
Peace up, A-Town down, as Usher would say.